Yeah, and here's the biggest difference from what we had yesterday versus what we're going to see tomorrow. Yesterday, temperatures were steadily warming, and so that allowed a lot of that ice that accumulated through those overnight hours to eventually melt away. That's not going to be the case with this next system because we're staying on the colder side largely of it, and temperatures are only going to get a little bit cooler headed into the second half of the weekend. So that means slick road conditions will stick around not only through the day tomorrow, but likely at least into early Saturday or Sunday morning, I should say. The alert day runs specifically through tomorrow afternoon and evening, likely wrapping it up closer to about midnight tomorrow night, but do know that some snowy impacts will still be felt across mainly our primary snow belt through early Sunday morning. It's not going to be for everybody, but that is kind of where we're targeting any additional snow impacts headed into Sunday. In terms of the snow, the farther north you are, the better the opportunity that you see actually more snow out of this system than the ice. Doesn't mean your ice chances are zero. You could still get a light glaze, especially as those temperatures are still into that low to mid 30-degree range at the onset of this event. But the farther south you are, say places like Medina, Akron, Worcester, Mansfield, Canton, you stand a better chance of just picking up more so on the ice, and that could be up to 2/10 of an inch of ice, kind of like what we saw yesterday. So there will still be some pretty moderately to high impacts in the sleet and freezing rain category. Snow ticks up just a little bit because we're likely going to see a bit more snow out of this system on the north side, but just know your travel impacts are going to be quite high as we go through the day tomorrow. In terms of where this system sits right now, it's still out across parts of Kentucky, southern Indiana, into southern Illinois. You can see a little bit of that snow that's developed and then some of that sleet and freezing rain that's already starting to get going. That eventually heads our direction, but it's going to take some time for us to really see the bigger impacts out of it. So through the rest of this evening, no big issues. You're just kind of waiting on those clouds to filter in through the overnight hours and eventually temperatures that drop into the mid to upper teens all across the board. Winds will be pretty light with this system as well, and that is also some good news when you factor in that we could be seeing a little bit more of that ice. As for tomorrow, temperatures about low to mid 30s. It is a dry start to the day, but once that wintry mix sets in, things will likely get messy here across our area, especially through that afternoon and evening window. I'm going to walk you through all the new hour-by-hour data that you need to know for your Saturday coming up in just a few minutes.
Dicey, you're telling me, huh?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is you're going to be dealing with ice once again, and with ice, it just doesn't take much for there to be a lot of issues, especially on the roadways. It's the weekend. Everybody wants to get to various activities, so please plan ahead now. If you're in our basically central and southern counties, you stand the best chance at basically dealing with an all-ice event out of kind of all the different hazards we could be tracking. So we're talking sleet, we're talking freezing rain. In terms of ice accumulation, about 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of ice looks likely. That's very similar to what we saw yesterday. But unlike yesterday, we had warmer temperatures to overcome some of those icy conditions. We're not going to see that as we head into tomorrow night. In fact, temperatures will just get a little bit colder, which then brings us to the second component that we're going to see out of this system as well, and that is some snow. This is mainly for our northern counties. I'm not saying places like Akron and Canton can't see snow. It's just you're not going to see potentially a couple inches of snow. Up to an inch looks more likely for a lot of our northern viewing communities, but if you are in the snow belts more specifically, about 1 to 3 inches looks likely. So when you combine the two, you know you're going to have some travel impacts across the area. Please watch for bridges and overpasses, as those will be the first areas to get slick the quickest. And then we're going to have to also watch sidewalks and driveways, just trying to get from point A to point B, essentially, as we go through the day tomorrow. Winter weather advisories have been posted 1 p.m. Saturday through 7 a.m. Sunday. The 7 a.m. Sunday mainly for our snow belt, because we could still see additional light snow as we head into the early hours of Sunday morning. Here's your future view, and I'm actually going to fast forward a little bit through tonight and headed into early tomorrow morning, because really you're not going to see anything on future view other than just some of the cloud cover that continues to build on in. Temperatures tomorrow morning upper 20s to about lower 30s, generally staying very dry for the first half of the day. Then you get into the afternoon. That's where some of this moisture starts to work in. And look at what kind of temperatures we're dealing with. About low to mid 30s. Mid 30s farther south, which could open up the door potentially to just a cold rain for places like Tuscarawas County. That's why you're not necessarily under that winter weather advisory just yet. But all it takes is a degree or two of difference, and then all of a sudden you're talking about some of those icier conditions. So I'd still say, even headed 77 south through Tuscarawas County, you still may be dealing with freezing rain or ice at times as we go through this event. You'll see the snow mainly up towards the north. This lasts through tomorrow afternoon and early evening, though evening conditions will gradually improve as this system continues to pull to the east. But like I said, the problem is that temperatures are still upper 20s to low 30s. So any ice that falls during the day is likely going to stick around through those overnight hours. Again, we'll watch for a little bit of snow into our primary snow belt through early Sunday, but that really looks to be about the extent of any additional wintry precipitation that we could have headed into the second half of the weekend. Temperatures tomorrow low to mid 30s. Overnight will drop into about the mid 20s, and then we will rebound low 30s Sunday. I do think a couple peaks of sunshine are possible once we get into Sunday afternoon. But again, it's just as we're waiting on that system to continue to depart to the east. The quicker that happens, the quicker we can talk about a little bit of sunshine and a break from this pattern headed into Monday, though that break is going to be brief because by Tuesday, there's another system to our south. We've got another one coming in Wednesday into Thursday, so it does keep some snow chances around through the middle part of the work week. As always,